Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to another workshop. I hope you guys all had a good Thanksgiving and crazy shopping weekend. So, morning, Randy. Well, I see a bunch of regular guys here in the room, and a couple of new names I'm not familiar with. So, welcome everybody. Today, I'm going to take a question from Bob, and that's what I'm going to demonstrate today for you. So on the chart here, to kind of explain, what the question is, I have some 3 arrows here on the chart. I hope all you guys can see the chart. So I've got this arrow here indicating an entry, this arrow up here, and a third one. So these are just kind of all examples. So this is kind of a simplified, I kind of simplified the question here. So great, thank you, Randy. So you can see the arrows, and the red diamonds are marking the entry points. So the question was originally the signal was originally generated on a special bar type. It's the median Renko that creates a nice channel-looking price bar. And unfortunately, I'm doing this on a VMware because I'm going to be using Market Replay to replay this in real time to backtest this using Market Replay data. It's the only way I could get this entry point to work. So I'm using a slightly different bar. I'm using the better Renko, which is as close as I can mimic to this specialized median Renko bar. And so what it does is, the median Renko bar looks like a nice channel when it's coming down or when price is trending upwards. And when it reverses, typically, like for example here, this the reversal bars are 200% longer than the standard trending bar. So you get this long reversal points. And so the entry was at the reversal point on the reversal bar. That triggered the trade, getting into the trade. But Bob wanted to get in, instead of getting in on a market order, he wanted to get in on this white moving average. So I just created a moving average that kind of looked like the screenshot he sent me. And so you can see the red diamonds are, I tried to place them on the white moving average, marking the actual price at which we want to enter the trade. So as you veterans know, Raven has market orders, places market orders, and does not place limit orders. Right? So we have another product coming out that will allow you to do limit orders. So this is just an an interim solution until we get Falcon out. So just a second. So Gary, could I answer your question during the webinar? Gary, this might answer your question. As I was reading your question, this might get you a close enough answer. If it doesn't, then kind of when I'm done here, maybe you can ask more specifically what your question is once I'm done here. But this might give you an idea so that you can get your entries in at a better price. Right? So that's kind of the core of what today's lesson is how do you use Raven to enter in at a better price instead of a market order. Right? So with this example, I'm using this moving average to determine where my entry price will be, right? So Gary, as an interim, you're gonna have to find some kind of indicator that will give you the price point at which you want to enter the trade. So that's what this white moving average is doing. And so to back test this, to back test this using market orders, we have to play this forward using market replay data. All right, so I think essentially that's it. So let me just kind of recap, because I kind of answered a question and was kind of all over the board here. So we have a nice moving uptrend, and we get this reversal bar, and essentially that is when we want to take the trade. So we want to take the trade in the direction of the reversal bar. So we want to take a short here, but we do not want to place a market order. We want to place an order at a better price, and that better price is determined by the white moving average, and so we'd like to get in at approximately where the red diamond is. So that's kind of the core of today's lesson. So with that, I'll start building the system. And I do see a few new names in here, so let me kind of do the introduction of how to get BloodHound going for you guys. All right, so BloodHound is an indicator. So we'll just open up the indicator panel, and BloodHound is down in the S's. So it's under SI for shark indicators. You'll see there's other SI indicators down here as well. So we're going to add BloodHound to the chart. Click OK. And you'll notice, now I've seen some of you guys' screenshots with this handy toolbar here. So for those of you who haven't seen it, it is really handy. I came across it a while back on Big Mike's. So instead of having to go to the this pull down here to grab everything, Big Mike's member posted this toolbar, so you can just quickly click on the button and bingo, really handy. And let me just kind of show this here. It's under Tool. Let's see, where is it? There we go. It's called Toolbar Shortcut. So it's on Big Mike's. You can search. I believe it's in the standard download section. So you can just search for Toolbar Shortcut. Really handy. Okay, so back to BloodHound. All right, so we have BloodHound on the chart. We can see the indicator down here. Now we have a button up here. We can see there's no name yet. This BloodHound template is just kind of a default title, meaning that there's no, you haven't named the system yet. So we'll just click on the button. It brings up the interface. Everybody can see this is empty here and it's slightly grayed out. So what I'm going to do, I can hit the change button, or I can go and open a file, or I can click save save as, and create a name. But this change button here is just supposed to be a little quicker way of doing it. And this is a training workshop, so I'm going to take that one and just rename it and put today's date on here. Like so. And this template file will be available for download once this webinar is posted up on YouTube. Alright, so we have a name here for the system. So now let's kind of start looking at the system and try and determine what solvers we need to use. So my first inclination was, you know, these reversal bars are kind of like the main trigger for the trade. And so a reversal point, you know, the mathematical term for that is inflection. So I started using the inflection solver. So let me add that on there. And as a good practice, I like to name the solvers typically based on the indicator that I'm using, or whatever, you know, whatever I may be using, whatever data I may be using. And in this case, it's going to be price or the closing price. So instead of using an indicator, I'm going to use the closing price. Right, so we can see now on the chart all of these reversal bars are marked in the direction of the reversal bar. Right, so we have a short output when the bar reverses down. Okay. And you can see that there's a lot of, you know, standard price action where it just kind of chops up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. And you know, the original bar type that Bob had this system done on, you know, was a median Renko, and so it creates these nice smooth channels. And so you don't get a lot of this chop. It requires an extreme price reversal in order for the bars to change direction. So it did cut out a lot of this chop. You know, so I had to create a filter that would eliminate all these choppy bars. And so I just kind of looking at this, and you know, I was saying to myself, well, I want at least, you know, 4 or 5 bars in the same trend direction, and that'll kind of hopefully filter out a lot of this, you know, chopping around that we have going on here, especially in this zone right in here. So let me create that filter here, and we can use the bar direction because we're going to start off using 4 bars in the same direction. Add that on here. And just for the new people in the room, this may seem like a somewhat advanced class today, and just to let you know that I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time explaining each of these solvers, but if you go to the website, let me jump over there real quick. And so what I want to show you is a resource where you can learn about each of these solvers that we're going to cover today. So we go to BloodHound, go down to Learn BloodHound, and essentially here's all the various learning resources. The best place to start is in the video tutorial section. That'll get you familiar with this interface here, and adding BloodHound to the chart. There's some other videos in there to kind of help you get started. But what I wanted to show you is the documentation section. And you'll see right here there's BloodHound reference. And you'll see there's a menu system on the right. This BloodHound documentation is kind of an introduction section as well. Help you get started, and you know, some training resources and additional help. But what I really wanted to show you is this section right here, each of the solver names. So if you want to learn more about the inflection solver, let's see, where did it go? There it is. Click on that. Right, and this gives you a written description of the solver and each of the settings within it. and you'll see at the top there's a context here. So if you'd like, there's a video tutorial. It will link you to one of the previous workshops where I explain all the ins and outs of this particular solver. Click on there, and essentially what it does is it opens up the workshop, and it jumps you straight to the time point at where I started talking. So you don't have to watch the whole video. It'll jump you right to where I began talking about the inflection solver. And then there's also some pictorial examples down here as well. So looks like I need to get a few more examples here. All right, and so this video tutorial and these examples are there's those for each solver to help you kind of keep going on to help your understanding with each of these solvers. All right, so with that said, let me get back to the bar direction. All right, so we're using the bar direction to kind of filter out a lot of these reversal points by looking for 4 bars in the same direction. So we can see down here under options, there's number of bars. So I can change that to 4 and start bars ago. Now let me turn off the other solver. So now we're only looking at the output from this one solver. Now the start bars ago, that's kind of like a displacement, or yeah, it's basically it acts like a displacement. So we can see that as soon as we get 4 bars, right? So we have this up bar number 1, up bar number 2, number 3, and then on the 4th bar, you can see we're getting this signal out from this one solver, and you can see how the value or the confidence from this solver steps up in value, right? So it takes the number of bars and it takes the value of 1. All right, so BloodHound's output always ranges from 0 to 1 and 0 to -1. Right, so it takes 1 and divides it by 4, and so each step is a quarter until we get the 4th bar. So we can see, for example, right here we got our first up bar, so we got a quarter. We got our second up bar, and so we're up to a half. And we don't have any more up bars, so it just plateaued there, and then started tapering off. So what it's doing is the solver is looking back and counting how many bars are in the up direction for the longs. And then for the shorts, it's doing the same thing. So we had one down bar, and so the short confidence got to a quarter. And then on the right here, if we hadn't had this reversal, there would be no short confidence. But we got this reversal here on the 4th bar afterwards, which continued on the quarter of a point output until you can see here we started getting more down bars, and then finally the output was at 1. And what I want to do is we can see that as soon as we get this reversal bar, we no longer have a signal from this solver, so I need to move the signal over onto this reversal bar so that when, let me stretch this over here. So once again, if we're looking at this inflection solver, right, it's giving us the short on the actual bar that that's kind of triggering our entry. right? And so we want this bar direction to also give us a signal on that same bar. So we can change the start bars ago, and you see how it shifted it over? So it shifted it over. So on this bar, essentially it's kind of looking back one bar, and it's looking back one bar to see if there's 4 bars in a row. So it shifted the output over one bar. And we also notice that, right, so when we get this reversal bar down, we want a short entry. So the bar direction is giving us a long confidence. So we want to reverse that to a short. And this is really the only solver in which inverting the value works. You'll notice that with the other solvers you can't just invert the value. So if, let me kind of show you the inversion here. Right, so we can see we're getting a short on this down bar and a long on this up bar. And if I invert this, you see down here, we're getting now all of this whole blank area is all long and all short. Alright, so it's not really giving us what we want, because it's giving us signals on bars that we don't want to signal on. So typically, inverting the value doesn't typically work, but it does work in the bar direction solver. All right. So I have things. So I have the bar direction working the way I want to, and I'm going to name it. So I'm looking at 4 bars. I'm looking for 4 bars in the same direction. So now if I turn both of these solvers on, there we go. So it did eliminate some of the choppy signals that we had in here. Right, if I turn this one solver off, see there's quite a few more signals. So it did kind of create a nice little filter. Right. Excuse me while I grab some water. And I'm going to look at the questions here. Okay, Bruce. So Bruce asked, why did I select 4? Well, Bruce, really it was just, just a random, not random number, but it was just an assumption that I made when I decided, the number of 4 bars in a row. Basically I just was looking at my chart right now and was just trying to come up with a quick number just to kind of eliminate all of these, signals from the inflection solver. I just want to kind of, essentially what I think, the core concept of this trade was that, when you're looking for a trend and you're trying to jump in, I guess, for a scalp on a reversal of that trend. And clearly you can see here on this chart, this is non-trending. The Renko bar is just doing a bunch of reversals in here. So I just picked a number. 4 looked pretty good to try and filter out a bunch of this choppiness. Yeah. So essentially, I'm just trying to say, if I get 4 bars in a row, to me that kind of defines more of a trend based on, I'm using a 10 tick, so that's that would be at least 40 ticks, in the same direction, so maybe 4 is not not enough, but it's just a starting point for this example. You know, if you really wanted to work on this to perfect this signal, then maybe 4 is not the right answer. Maybe you might want to go high, but just 4 is just a starting point. So, all right. Let's see. So I'm just kind of clearing some of these answers off. All right. So let's see. Let's get to the next step. So we have our initial signal showing up. The next step is to take our signals here, which are occurring on the correct bar, but now we need to implement the part where we'll actually get the signal when price pulls back to the white moving average here, and we actually get the signal on where the red diamonds are, or essentially when the closing price or the last price of the bar that's in motion, or the bar that's building, when it pulls back to this moving average, that'll be our actual entry point. And so that's simply a comparison. So we're comparing the current price to the moving average. And so for a long signal out or a long entry, we want the current price to be below the moving average. And for this short right here, we need the current price to move above the moving average. So that's going to be a comparison. So let me find the comparison solver. All right, add that on. And so this is going to be like our moving average entry price. So right, so the faster, so we have 2 indicator sections here, and typically you want the faster moving data in indicator A and the slower moving data in indicator B. So for indicator A, I'm going to use the price. I'm going to use the closing price. All right, so the closing price, if your system is running in real time, then the closing price is also the same as the last price as well. And then for indicator B, I need to set that to the white moving average, which is the JMA 5. So let's go find the JMA. All right, so I double-clicked on this and it dropped it down here into our selected indicator. And recently I've had quite a few questions of how to nest indicators. So if I wanted to feed another type of data into the JMA, or say if I wanted to smooth out an indicator using the JMA to smooth out an indicator. So for example, if I wanted to create like my own way of smoothing out the MACD, right, I can just select the MACD and then click on nested. And then I have the MACD data being nested into the JMA. And then I can, by default, we have the MACD data here already. And so what this will do is you'll get the MACD will be smoothed by the JMA moving average. So that's how you nest indicators into each other. And if I want, I can get a little crazy and nest the MACD into the JMA. So in a way, you can kind of create your own double indicators. So if I double click on the MACD, you see it replaced everything, and then I can nest the MACD into itself. So I can select the nested MACD, select the indicator again up at top, nest it again, and I can create a triple nested MACD if I wanted to. So that's just a quick lesson on using the nested function here. So let me get the JMA back on there. Change the period to 5. And so let's recap what we're wanting to do. So for a long entry, we need price, the closing price, to be below the JMA. So let me turn these other solvers off, so we're only looking at one. And we can see right now it's in the wrong direction. All right, so when price is above the JMA, we want to short out. All right, so you have to think about how this is going to play out in real time. So let me move this all the way over to the edge. So let's just say we just got our reversal bar here. And so that's our signal to go long. And the next step is we're waiting for price to pull back to the JMA. And so when price pulls back to this JMA line and actually goes below it, we actually want a long out of it. But unfortunately, since we're dealing with historical data, the closing price is up here. It's actually above it. But in real time, the closing price is going to be below the moving average. So in a sense, it's going to look like this. So down here is where the close is. So we actually want a long signal out of this solver when the close is below the JMA. So let's reverse that. And so our output section here is what needs to be reversed. So instead of having a long output when A is our closing price, and so instead of A being greater than B being greater than JMA, we want A to be less than the JMA. So I'm going to set this to 0, set that to 0, set this to 1. I don't have to set this 1 to 1 because the large amount and small amount are both set to 0 ticks. So I only have to set the large amount. And also, yeah, let me make note to you guys. Some of you guys are going to be on BloodHound version 1.06, and on my VMware, I'm actually testing out version 1.1, and so you'll notice that my interface looks a little different. So in 1.06, it actually says A less than B by large amount, but we changed the interface, so now it says by 0 ticks. And so if I change this, if I put a 2 in there, actually let me put 3 in there, and put 1 in there, and yeah, here's something we need to work on to get that refreshed. So there. I just had to click on another solver to refresh the display, and you can see now it says A less than B by 3 ticks or more. So the title of this, the title of this entry of this input section will actually match what values you inputted in up here in the small amount and large amount. Right, so we can see A less than B by 1 tick for the small amount, or A less than B by 3 ticks or more for the large amounts, 3 ticks. So we're hoping this kind of helps. We're hoping this makes using the output section here a little more intuitive for beginners. So, all right, so let's put this back to 0. And I still need to reverse my shorts. So when A is greater than B, or when price is greater than the JMA, that's when I want a short output. So we set that to 1, set these to 0. And so there we go. So back here to the right edge of the chart, so when price basically pulls back below the moving average, that's when we want our long signal to enter long. All right, so looking at this historically, it looks like we're getting the wrong output. But when we play it back with the replay data, we'll get the right output. So let's turn everything on, and you'll notice that we don't have any signals, and that's because all 4 conditions will not get met unless we're playing this in real time. So this is something that can't be back-tested on historical data. You have to play it on replay data in order to test it. So let's move ahead and start playing and take a look. So I'm going to speed this up, and I did go ahead and let's see, where's my markers at? Oh. I did have a bunch of markers on the chart last night. Well, let's just move this forward and see what we get. All right, so I have to wait for 4 bars in a row. So I mean, essentially this kind of met, but the price didn't pull back enough. So I know I just need to move forward a little bit, and there should be a signal coming up here shortly. So all right, there's 4 bars, so we're waiting for a reversal now. There's a reversal, and okay, I didn't quite stop it on the correct spot, so I need to play it here, and there we go. I think, yeah. So I can look at the price flags here on my chart. So that should have triggered a signal. Now, you'll notice I forgot to set one thing up here. So I forgot to set up BloodHound to calculate on incoming tick data. So you can see as this bar is building, there is no output from BloodHound. So BloodHound is not operating on incoming tick data. So in other words, the calculate on bar close is set to true. So to run this on incoming tick data, We need to change this to false. Click OK. All right, there we go. So now we can see on this bar that's halfway built, now we're getting BloodHound's giving us an output. And so we're hoping for a short on this bar, but we can see we don't have a short yet. So let me I'm going to play this, and hopefully price gets a little bit higher, so we absolutely know that price broke above our moving average. There we go. Okay. So price is definitely above our moving average now. We don't have a signal. So let's take a look. With the replay data paused right here, we can now work with our system and kind of debug what's going on here. So first, let's look at just the main solver that's essentially creating which this solver are like our core signal generator, and so there's a problem. So we can see the inflection solver is giving us a long when price is going the opposite direction instead of a short. So obviously that doesn't work. And I intentionally did this on purpose to kind of because what I like to do is walk you guys through the process, of debugging your system and building your system, right? So when we looked at something this in historical mode with historical data, sure, everything looked good, but since we're running this in real time, we came across this issue that didn't that I didn't think about before. So the inflection solver isn't going to work in this situation. I could change, so some of you are thinking, well, I could just change the look back period. And so if I change the look back period to 2, sure, historically it looks like it works, right? I'm getting a short on the second bar here where we're looking for a pullback to get in, but you can still see in real time BloodHound's going to cancel that second short, and it's going to give us a long, which is the correct behavior. So setting that to 2 isn't going to work. And we could use the slope against direction, and we can see here maybe that'll work, but to me, I don't know. To me, that seems a little messy. Maybe that will work, but I'm just not too. I don't know. I'm not too keen on reversing the output. Essentially, what this does is this reverses the output for the inflection solver. So that's why it's titled against direction, right? So the direction of the bar is up, but the output is against the direction. So the output of the solver is giving us a short value instead. So my other solution to this was using the bar direction solver and essentially tying 2 of them together. So I'm looking for essentially an up bar and then a down bar. And so the opposite would be true. So I'd be looking for a down bar in combination with an up bar. And so that was actually my solution to this problem with the inflection solver. Alright, so let me add a bar direction on here. And so I'm going to be using two of these together to kind of mimic a reversal point or an inflection. So, all right, so we're looking for a short, and essentially what I'm looking for is this bar. Let me put some arrows on here. Oh. So essentially what I'm looking for is these two bars in opposite direction. So I'm going to first look for this long bar, and I want to get a all right, so I'm looking for a short from this long bar. So let me reverse the values. And I'm looking back 2 bars. So I need to start 2 bars ago. And now I need to add another one. And this one is actually the I need to come up with a better name for this. So okay. So this is an inflection, and this will be the actual reversal bar. And that one, the reversal bar is actually going to be 1 bar back. So with both of these turned on, I can see here that now I'm getting my short. So I'm getting my short signal right where I want it. And if we look, let's see here. Yeah, if I'm looking back historically, it just doesn't work quite right looking back historically. Oh wait, I'm sorry, it does. Yeah, it is working historically. Sorry about that. So I am getting my long here where I want to go long, and I'm getting my short here where I want to go short, and then long where I want to go long. So essentially, it's taking these 2 bar direction solvers to replace the inflection solver. And also, I started looking back enough bars back as well, so that instead of getting the short signal on the actual reversal bar, I need to get the short signal on the bar at which we'll be entering into the trade. So now let's add in the 4-bar direction filter. So that's a filter. Yeah. So with these 3 solvers turned on, let's take a look now. And good, we're still getting our signal here, which is good. Although I can see that, let me turn these other guys off here. So if I'm only looking at the 4-bar direction filter, I can see that I'm not actually getting a signal on the bar at which we're placing the trade. We can see the output of that solver dropped by a quarter, right? Because it's missing one bar in the up direction. So it's just shy of giving us a signal here. So what I need to do is I need to set this start bars ago back to back one additional bar. There we go. So now we're getting a full confidence of 1, or a full signal out on the actual bar which will place the trade. So now let me turn these other two on. Alright, so that looks better. Yeah. Alright, now we need to turn on the solver here, which actually looks for the actual entry point. And good, we're still getting a signal here, just like we want. And let's see, let's look at some of these other places. Now you can see on this guy right here, this example, we no longer have a signal coming out of BloodHound. And looking at it historically, that's correct, because the closing price is above the moving average, right? We only want a signal when the moving price moves below the moving average, because we need price to be down here before we actually enter the trade. So this is correct. We shouldn't have a signal now, because these signals should only fire in real time, when price is actually moving in real time. Now on this one, we did get a signal, and that's because this bar ended up being a reversal, and so price closed above the moving average. So this reversal bar gave us a signal because the close is in the correct location, but unfortunately price reversed on us. And the same with this one. All right, we're looking for a long, and we got a long signal because unfortunately price reversed on us, and so price closed above the moving average. Let's look for, see if there's another example here. Let's see. No, I don't see any more examples. I'm trying to look for an example that's like this one right here, where we don't have a signal, but when it's running in real time, we would actually get a signal. But I don't have one. So, all right, so we're just going to leave it at that, and I'm going to mark. Well, I guess I already have this marked here with these two arrows. So let's continue playing this forward until we get to the next signal. I'm going to speed this up a lot. Now I'm getting a long signal here. Definitely don't want this long signal. We're looking for a short signal. So what that's telling me is that using this type of logic, right, where I have all my solvers only on the solver tab. So essentially, BloodHound is essentially using the ratio logic node by default to join all these together, right? You can see this analog output that we have from all 4 solvers. But I think what I need to do is join them all together with an AND node, and that should that should eliminate this long signal here that I'm getting while I play this back in real time. So let's create a logic template. So I'll name it. Gary, I see your question there, and I'll get back to your question about the MACD and the JMA smoothing. All right, so let me, and you'll see that there's another change here. So with 1.1 that's coming out, you'll see that all the solvers are available, but the ones that I already built are available here. Let me put the AND node on there, dump that on there. Now remember, so these two solvers we're creating are the main solvers that are creating the core signal. So essentially these two are what's looking for the reversal in price, and it takes two of them, and it takes both of these and join together for that. So I'm going to join them with an AND node, and we plug that into the result node here. Take a look at the chart. So we got a reversal down, and it's giving us a signal 1 bar later, where we would actually get the pullback here. All right, so this guy is working correctly, and I'm going to name it as the inflection signal. And then I'm going to join that into the AND node. And then let me add my filter. Let's plug the filter in. So great. Now you can see we eliminated a lot of those, I guess, what do you call them, choppy signals. And then the last one is the solver actually giving us the entry signal. Okay, there we go. All right, so now we can see we're no longer getting a long entry on this by using the AND nodes together. And for those of you who are up on your logic math, you'll know that putting an AND into an AND is not necessary. I could have just taken both of these solvers and plugged them into the same AND node, but I did this just because, you know, from a visual standpoint, right, it makes more sense, especially for those who don't understand logic math. It just makes more sense. It's easier to comprehend if you're kind of new to using logic functions. This is just easier to comprehend that you have to use both of these solvers in combination with an AND node and then plug it into the other AND node. But I could just take both of these solvers and plug it all into the same AND node. So essentially, if you have an AND node going into an AND node, it's essentially the same thing as just creating one big AND node. Let's see. So we have this long filtered out. So let's continue to play this forward. Well, let's get this going a little faster. Let's see, if we get one more long bar, that should meet our requirements to take another short. Let's see what's going to happen there. Oh, no, not quite. Oh, okay. So we got 4 down bars and a reversal, but we didn't get any pullback here. So we wouldn't have gotten a signal out of that. Let's continue forward. Alright, so we got enough down bars for a long signal, so I'm going to slow this down a little bit, see what happens. Alright, there we go. So now what we need is we need our pullback here. No pullback. Alright, let me speed this up. Now we can see that we're getting, it looks like we're almost getting a signal, but because we're using the AND nodes, we can see the value is not quite enough to give us a signal, and that's because we only have 3 up bars. We're missing that 4th one to give us a full signal here. And you know, that kind of brings up another point. I should change, actually I can do it here. I should change my threshold values and restrict that a little bit. So if we're using the logic tab or using a logic template, I can override the confidence threshold here, and I can set that to say 0.95. Yep. And I can leave the compare ratio on. We can see that we're definitely not getting longs and shorts on the same bar, so it doesn't matter if we have this on or off. All right, so this override confidence threshold, essentially it's overriding, if we go to the NinjaTrader's indicator window, right, so these, under the signal section, it's overriding these values here, is what it's doing. And but unfortunately, when you use the override, you can see it doesn't update the actual lines on the chart, right? So just so it looks nice, let's actually update our thresholds here. So visually, it all looks correct. Okay, so now we can see the threshold line moved way down to 0.95. So now it looks like our output isn't quite ready to give us a signal yet. So Alright, so let me continue playing this forward. Alright, see if we get a short. No. Short. Oh, there we go. Okay. So let's see what happens here. Isn't it always fun waiting for your trades to set up? Sitting there talking to the market. Come on, come on, come on, set things up. You're like, come on, get me in the trade. Yep. Ah, a little too slow there. Okay, come on. So hopefully you guys saw that. We had a quick flash of a short signal. Oh, there we go. There we go. We got it. Okay. So there, price, apparently price touched the value of the JMA, and that would get us into the market. So there we go. So let me continue playing this forward. I'm going to play it kind of fast. And I saw some questions coming in here. All right, so Randy is asking, when using a logic template, how do you disable it in order to add and set up additional solvers? Randy, you can't disable. Once you've started using the logic template, you can't disable it. So what you have to start doing is, let me slow this down a little bit. I'll play this at a 10 speed. So once you start using a logic template, you can't disable it. You know, I know it's nice and convenient when you're adding your solvers, slowly building your conditions on here. It is nice and convenient to turn solvers on and off, but as you can see, it doesn't make a difference anymore once you start using a logic template. You know, so I guess for everybody here, a good practice is to build all of as many solvers as you can think of that you need for your system. You know, work in the solver tab mode only, and build all of your solvers first. Just for the, you know, it's just a little convenient being able to turn your solvers off, so that you're only looking at one condition at a time as you're perfecting, you know, the values, you know, as you're perfecting your settings and stuff. But once you start using a logic tab, essentially what you have to do is, you know, if I need a threshold solver, you know, I add it on there, and essentially what I have to do is just go and add it in here, and I just have to connect it up is what I have to do, and then I can fine-tune it that way. All right, so that's how you can go in and isolate just one solver's condition once you start using a logic tab. There's really no way around that anymore. You would have to delete all of your logic boards, or you'd have to delete all of your logic templates in order to start working in the solver tab mode again. So, all right, and let me get back to Gary's question about the smoothing. So we'll take a look at the slope. I'll use the slope solver as an example. So if I wanted to smooth the MACD, right? So if I wanted to use the SMA to smooth the MACD, you need the SMA on the chart first, or SMA on here first, and then nest the MACD into it. Right? So the data from the MACD is inputted or transferred into the SMA. So instead of the SMA smoothing out price data, the SMA would be smoothing out the MACD data. Right, so that's how you get a smooth. That's how you get a smoothed MACD using the SMA. So the SMA is smoothing the MACD. And then you can also see on here that we're taking the MACD data and feeding it into the SMA. All right, so Gary, so was the entry at 97.09 or at the open of the next bar? It was actually at 97.9. So let's back that up here. Oh, actually, let me mark it first. So this guy is going to give us a signal here. So let me back this up a little bit. And then speed it up a lot. That's not it. All right. Did my arrow? Looks like my arrow disappeared. Well, shoot. Okay, I'm gonna have to back this up again. And hopefully I can catch this at the right spot. Okay, so all right, patiently waiting. Okay, I'm going to play this at real-time speed, 1x, and I'll try and stop it right as BloodHound triggers. Okay, I'll go forward at 2x. It's interesting how prices will just sit there. I picked the CL because the CL usually moves pretty good, and it's a pretty volatile instrument. Actually, yeah, you know, I think, right, so my time is mountain time, but I think on the East Coast, I think trading on the CL. Actually, I think it's the pit trading is closed at this time. So I think that's why price kind of slowed down a lot. But this is the 21st, so this is actually the day before Thanksgiving, so that could be another reason why. So as soon as I get this paused on the right spot, I see there's questions coming in. I'll get to your guys' questions, but I can't miss this. Almost, almost. One more tick. Oh, two more ticks. All right, one more tick. Oh, two more ticks. One more. There we go. Okay. Oh, I just missed it. So I saw that the actual price. There we go. 87.10 is when the order would be submitted. It doesn't mean that's going to be the price at which you get your order, because remember, Raven is still going to submit a market order, but it's going to submit a market order at once at this level. Where the bid and ask is, we don't know. And all right, so remember, this is a workaround to submitting a market order. To submit a market order at a better price. This is our workaround right now for Raven until we get Falcon out, which you can then submit your limit orders, and you can use the BloodHound logic or just simple logic to control where to place limit orders. All right, so Gary, so there we go, Gary. 87.1 is when. Now, to also keep in mind, we're running BloodHound. We are running BloodHound with calculate on bar set to false, and so you also have to run Raven the same way. And I'm going to answer these questions, and then I'm going to set Raven up to actually place the trade so we can actually see it as well. All right, so let me delete that. Yeah. All right. So Gary's got a follow-up question here. Why do you get an orphan node if you delete a solver under the solver tab? Why do you get an orphan node if you delete a solver under the solver tab? Let's see here. So if I delete this, I'm not sure where you saw that orphan node. In the regular version that you guys get, you shouldn't be. I didn't think you guys saw orphan nodes. That's more for our debugging purpose. But essentially, an orphan node is if I just throw up a logic node, there's nothing connected to it. Or basically, anything that's not ultimately connected to the result node is an orphan node. So this OR node would be an orphan. You know, if I threw another solver on here, right? This solver would be an orphan node because it's not connected to the result node in some form or fashion. So that's how you get an orphan node. It's just any node that's not ultimately connected to the result node, you know, through some means. So. But really, orphan nodes, no big deal. You don't need to worry about them. All right, Randy's got a good question here. After setting up my basic logic, I invariably have to add at least one solver to filter the results. After setting up my basic logic, I inevitably have to set up at least one solver to filter my results. Right. That's pretty much the case, Randy. So you would suggest add the new solver, bring it into the logic template, and connect it directly to the result node until you confirm it is outputting your expected results, and then integrate it into the logic. Yes, Randy. Yeah, so I would suggest as a good practice to work in the solver tab for as long as possible, so that way you can easily turn on and off your solvers, and that way, you know, isolate your solver, so that way BloodHound's giving you the result only for that one solver. But if you do get to the point where you think you're done and you start using the logic tab and you decide, oops, I need another solver, then, you know, then once you start using the logic tab, then yes, the way to test your solver to make sure your settings are the way you want, yep, just plug it straight into the result node, you know, and fine-tune all the inputs, all the settings, until you have it the way you like it, and then you can, right, yep, then disconnect it and connect it on up, and plug it in. So you can also, you know, as another debugging tool, you can see that each of these solvers has a plot, has a color of plot. So if I wanted to, if I thought that, you know, this solver with, you know, is what I suspected is preventing my signal from firing, or for some reason, you know, if this is the one I suspect is causing the problem, whatever it may be, you know, I can take this and I can turn it on, and bingo, you can see the output from that one solver down below here, and see how it works out. And then I can turn it back off again once I'm done kind of debugging it. Right. So just let me throw like an indicator slope on there to give you another example. So if I had this plugged in here, turn on the plot, right, so this is looking at the slope of the, let's just say I'm using some kind of minimum slope here. And trying to get a nice smooth kind of analog output here. Depending on the instrument, it kind of depends on the tick size that I need to use. Yeah, I'm not getting the output that I'm expecting. Okay. Let's see. So what's going on here? Oh, that's what's going on. Let's set the solver up correctly here, and nothing. Right. Oh, I'm just not bothering to read. Okay, so that. There we go. There we go. Now I just need to fine tune the slope that I want. Okay, there. So I was trying to get an analog type output from this solver. All right, then just to kind of give you another example, because typically, you know, with a lot of filter solvers, you know, if I turn the color on for this one solver, you know, this is a lot of times this is what you'll get, right? And so you can see, you know, this slope solver's output in white, and you can, you know, so say like for example, I was expecting a signal on this bar, you know, just hypothetically on this bar, I was expecting a signal to go short, but I can, you know, but all I got was, but the only output I got from BloodHound was this little short, you know, output here, and I can see, well, it was this solver that constrained BloodHound, and you know, I only got this minor output of like 0.2. So, you know, by turning on the color of this solver, I could see, well, this solver is what constrained the output, and I didn't get my signal. Right, so that's a very handy way of debugging your system. And let me disconnect that guy. All right, let me get to some other questions here. All right, Roger, is there documentation or a webinar on nesting solvers? Yes, Roger, I know there is. There isn't. I'm not sure there is a specific. I can't think of a specific webinar for this, but I have shown nesting in a bunch of our workshops. There's a workshop that is called Back to the Basics. It's probably about 10 weeks ago. And in that workshop, I may have shown nesting. Excuse me. And it also may be in the video tutorial section as well. The very first tutorial may show nesting, I believe. And I'm sorry, I don't know offhand, but really kind of what I just showed you is really just kind of the basics of nesting. You know, we tried to build it. We tried to make it look, you know, as similar as possible to the way you nest stuff with NinjaTrader. Right. So with NinjaTrader, you can select your SMA, and then for your input series, right, you have to go in and pick the indicator that you want and set the plot that you want. Right. So I can nest the average into that. Right. So it's the same thing. So the MACD, data from the MACD is being fed into the SMA, and that's how you smooth the MACD out. Right. So we built BloodHound to kind of work in similar, look kind of, you know, similar style, right, maybe. Let's see, Randy. You could set that entry that fired at 87.10 to signal on an up bar 2 or 3 ticks below the JMA, and use ChartTrader to set a limit order on the JMA maybe. Well, yeah, if you're using ChartTrader, sure, I mean, you're manually controlling your entries with limit orders and stuff. So that's definitely possible. Right, we could turn on the ChartTrader here. Which one is it? Oh, there we go, ChartTrader. Yeah, you can turn the ChartTrader on and manually place your entries next to the JMA if you wanted to. And all right, thank you, Gary. Glad I answered your question. And let's see, Randy was just pointing out the slope of the JMA. Yeah, I know, Randy. I know I didn't have the SMA on the chart, but just trying to, essentially, I was just trying to get an analog type of plot in the BloodHound section there. All right, so I got through the questions. So let's put this in a system and put it into Raven and watch it work here before I need to try and wrap this workshop up. It's 12 o'clock already. So add a strategy, get Raven on there, and so here's the key right here. This calculate on bar close. We need to set that to false. All right. Let's go load up our template. I can see it's at the top of the list here, right? So this list is sorted by date and time, the most current template that was saved. All right, we got that loaded. There was nothing else to do here. Just load it. Click OK, and we have an entry logic. So put that on entries. I don't have an exit logic. I'll just use just a simple, target, just a simple 10-tick 1-to-1 ratio here. So I'll set my profit target to 10, set my stop to 10. You know, I know that with the CL, you don't want to really use that tight of a trailing stop, so we'll just keep it kind of simple. And we need to enable it. and everything else will just accept the defaults. So if, for those of you who may be kind of new to NinjaTrader, if you're not familiar with all of this stuff, NinjaTrader does workshops just like we do. Once again, we're kind of following their business model. We really like it a lot. So they have workshops on every component of NinjaTrader, right? So this strategy window is a component, and so they have workshop videos. They have workshops once a week, like we do, for every component. They have a different workshop. So they have workshops Monday through Friday on the different components. So if you want to learn more about this, I would suggest either going to their YouTube page and finding a previously recorded workshop, or sign up for their live workshops, in which you can ask your questions and they'll answer them right there on the spot. So that's the best way to learn about how to use NinjaTrader. We really don't teach how to use NinjaTrader. So if you have questions about it, if it's something simple, we'd be glad to answer it. But we really, NinjaTrader is the best. They're the most qualified and they're the best resource for answering, in-depth kind of questions. So, all right. We'll just go with that for now. And before I get started, I see a few questions here. Chart Trader was just a mention since Raven doesn't do limit orders. Yeah. Yep. Thank you, Randy, for that suggestion. And Ollie. Let's see, Zane, is there a way to manually continue a trade management after Raven enters a trade for you? Yes. Ollie, what you have to do is you would run Raven on one chart, and you have to open another chart. So let me open up another chart, and I believe that was CL 113. I have to open another chart, and let me make it kind of similar here. Okay, we'll do that. I'm using a better rank of 10. And, all right, all good. Let me take my indicators off of here. And turn the chart trader on. So that's how you have to do it. Ollies, you have to open up another chart. NinjaTrader doesn't allow for a strategy and the chart template to be open at the same time. So you can see right here the chart template button is grayed out. It's disabled. So I can't turn the chart trader on this chart because I have a strategy loaded. So I can just do it this way, and then I can play around with my market orders. So we'll see it. However, your strategy will always move your stops and targets around. So if you have your strategy programmed to move your stops and targets, so say like for example in the strategy, if I was using a trailing stop here, if I had this turned on, right, the strategy is going to trail my stop. And so if I keep messing with my stop over here on the chart trader, the strategy is always going to keep moving my stop up as it's trailing up. So so the strategy is always going to keep moving your stuff around. So just keep that in mind. Definitely sim it. Sim it for a lot before you start going live. You know, I always tell people, you know, whatever business you're in, you should know the tools of your trades like the back of your hand. So you should know NinjaTrader inside and out before you ever start throwing live money and trading using NinjaTrader. Right? This is your tool, and so you should know how to use NinjaTrader just as good as the tech support does for NinjaTrader. You know, you should be able to be as good as a teacher before you start trading live money with any charting platform. You know, it's just kind of one of my beliefs, because if you got real money on the line, you know, you don't want $100, $200 lesson because you rushed into trying to trade. You know, so I hope that answered your question, Ollie. All right, great, thank you. And Randy, all right, just another thanks. Right, thank you guys. So let's get this strategy going here. And I'm going to speed it up. Speed it up a lot. Actually, I'm going to pause it or just put it on play for a second here. So we can see that, right, we have a second instance of BloodHound on here, and even though it looked like it was giving us a signal to enter, that's because it is not set. Let me stretch this out a little bit. That's because what's being displayed on the chart isn't the actual logic. Isn't the actual logic that's entering this trade. So we can see here there's no logic selected, so let me put it on entries, and there we go. All right. Oh, another thing I need to do, let me pause it. I didn't set my thresholds up properly. Yeah, see, I set my thresholds to 0.8. We disable it, so then I can change my thresholds here, and all right, turn it back on. Okay, now let's go. I think we're getting close. Yeah, here we go.
Order pending.
There we go. So that was it. As soon as it touched, you can see I paused it a split second afterwards, and so as soon as it touched 87.10, it threw the order in there, and it looks like we got a 2-tick slippage. Let me stretch this out. Stretch this guy out here. All right. So we got a two tick of slippage, which you know, I'd say that's fair game for the oil. Particularly, I'm pretty sure the pit is closed at this time because this is Mountain Time, right? So Eastern Time. Well, actually, no, it trades in Chicago, so it's an hour later. So it would be 12:22. Actually, I think the pit closes at 12:30 Chicago time. So maybe the pit is still open, but so, all right, so there we go. All right, so let's just watch this guy. Have some fun here. I'll speed this up a little bit. So having the chart trader open, right, we can watch our profit and loss in real time, which is not good psychologically. But I guess it's necessary. So if you're just using, you know, BloodHound to kind of mark your entries for you, right, to clarify your signals for you, but you're still a discretionary trader, you know, it's good to kind of see what's going on here, to see if you just, you know, especially with oil, you know, if oil kind of farts around, messes around, and doesn't really do what you want it to, sometimes it's better just to get out early and take a smaller loss, and wait for the next trade setup. And we do know that we're going to get stopped out here, and price keeps moving up.
Order filled.
So, all right, let me speed this up a little bit. I think there was another trade coming. No pullback on that one. Shoot. Let's see. Bob's got a comment here. Also, if you want the chart trader to show the entries, you need to name the ATM in Raven. So Gary's saying yes, 14 minutes until oil closes. Okay. Thanks, Gary. Let me speed this up. I thought we had another entry coming here. All right, one more up bar. Okay, so we're just waiting for the reversal on this. Yeah, so it's 5 o'clock my time, so, you know, this is after hours. Definitely not much price action going on. Not much trading. So it's now 10:30 on the clock. All right, there we go. See if we get a pullback here. Oh, let's see. Yeah, what happened was because we're at midnight, NinjaTrader kind of stopped. Right, when you're using non-time-based bars, NinjaTrader creates a new bar. At midnight, it starts a new bar, so it kind of messes up the calculation for these better Renko bars, right, and Renko bars in general. So we kind of missed that one. So let's speed this guy forward and look for the next setup. Let's see. Bob has a comment here. Your noise filter could be used a lot, so why not make a noise solver? Well, Bob, if you've got some ideas, we always appreciate your guys' suggestions. And for solvers, we kind of want to keep solvers very generic. So my initial thought is, noise filters. There's so many ways to kind of filter out noise. Just using range bars and Renko bars is, the bar type is a good way to filter out noise. That helps. But as far as indicators go, there's lots of indicators, that people use to try and filter out noise. So, I'm not just, thinking off the top of my head, I'm not sure how we could build a solver, for all the various different ways of filtering out noise. Because we don't want to really suggest ways of trading. We want BloodHound to be very generic and non-suggestive, because we're not trying to teach trading methods. This is just a tool so you can use what you learned to create your own, and so we don't want to kind of steer people in a certain direction. We want to keep this very open and flexible. But Bob, if you got some ideas, we would be glad to take a look at them. We'll definitely consider them. Jeremy, when Jeremy first started writing BloodHound, before it was even called BloodHound, before it even had a name, he had his ultimate goal was to build a market condition, or a market market condition solver, to basically kind of tell you, were you in a choppy area, were you in a trending area. Oh, there we go. So we got another order. Let me just slow this down a little bit. And so this market condition was, in an attempt to try and tell you, what type of trending condition are you in? Are you in a tight trend where price is just hammering down or going straight up, or is price kind of chopping around but going up? So that is still kind of a goal that we have, but that's off into the future before we get to that. And that was kind of the main reason why Jeremy started writing BloodHound, was to kind of come up with that type of solution. But it's definitely much easier said than done. So. Oh, that's right. Thanks, Randy. This is Thanksgiving, huh? Well, Black Friday, yeah. Who's trading on Black Friday? Well, apparently we did get a setup. Let me jump this forward and just try and get past this.
Order pending.
No.
Order filled.
All right, yeah, 500 speed, we should get past. Well, I think there was a little trading going on Friday, so maybe we'll see a setup here. Look at that. The bulls took over on Black Friday when no one else was trading. And, oh. You know, I think I might have had this going too fast for NinjaTrader to get the order in there, but I think this should have. We'll have to see if I can back this up just a tad bit. We're on the 23rd. Reload this. And we're on the 22nd.
Order pending. Order pending.
There was that trade.
Order filled.
There we go. Jump it forward a little bit. Okay, I'll slow this down a little bit. Wait for this next setup. See what happened here. Oh. Yeah, so we can see in real time the moving average is way up here, and I don't think price got up there high enough. Looks like that's what happened. Yeah, so this, this is a good thing to understand, that what you see happening in essentially what should be playing back like real time versus what you see historically is not always the same. There's a lot of indicators that don't calculate the same in real time as they do when you view them historically. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, you see how the JMA closed way down, but in real time it was above price. So no entry there. Let's speed this up. I'd like to get one more before I close this up.
Order pending.
There we go. Great. We got it. Cool. There it is. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to wrap it up with that. And I just realized I didn't hit the record button. So Jeremy's not here today, and he's the one that's usually recording these. I forgot to hit the record button. So unfortunately, this is not recorded. So Bob, I hope you got this. Well, I hope you can remember this. And so with that, we'll see you guys. So Bob recorded it. That's right. You do record these. Great. Good, Bob. So, and so Gary, I had suggested sending in a request ticket to meet with Jeremy. So don't use the book an appointment button. That goes to me. Actually submit a question. Submit your request as a question, and I'll try and see if I can get a hold of Jeremy and let him know that you want to talk to him. Or maybe this webinar hopefully answered your question. So, and just check some last questions coming here. All right, good going, Gary. All right, thanks, guys. I'm going to end it here. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.